Hello, welcome to that's a terrible one. Okay. Clip that for the blooper reel. Hello, welcome. My name is Acrylis. I'm not actually going to put that in a blooper reel, but today we're here to cast this game, Dream League Season 11, the match between PSGLGD and Infamous Gaming. They have swapped sides. LGD now is on the Radiant side, and Infamous is now on the Dire side. I would also like to mention it's game 2, kind of in the wrong order, but you know, these things happen. We'll see how things go out from here, but the game, to put a recap onto game one, was not very good for Infamous. I like the draft out from Infamous, trying to go for that aggressive early game play, but LGD were very prepared for that and had the best strategy of instead of responding with aggression in both off lanes, they just were like, well, why don't we just make our carry really big, you know? And kind of inflated him with early game pressure and the track gold from later in the game with the use of the Bounty Hunter and Disruptor. So obviously, Infamous have to ban out portions of that comp or deny portions of that comp out from LGD so that they don't have to experience that again. Or we'll see probably a different draft, and we'll see either if Infamous were basically Infamous have to make a choice here. Are we going to be able to execute against that comp better with a different comp, or should we just try to make a different approach entirely and hope that they don't have any more surprises out from us? But well, we'll see how things go out from here as we go into the ban phase for the first part of the draft. From what we see, yep, things are going to be pretty stable. The ADP ban out is early to prevent it from getting picked by LGD. The early game pressure with the global teleport is obviously something Infamous want to avoid since they lost very early on. LGD with the Chen ban to avoid that support position 5, preventing that aggression onto the carry. So kind of letting Infamous know you're not going to be able to have a free safe lane in this game. Whereas Infamous Gaming ban out the Magnus, kind of letting LGD know you're not getting this you're not getting this pick. But yeah, basically just denying, as I said last game, the Empower. I mean, that's the only reason you're picking Magnus right now, except for every other spell in his kit. But the Empower is the clincher for the early game to basically allow your carry to accelerate in net worth way past the other team's carry. Like I would say it's kind of similar to how Bounty Hunter's track works, and like it's an ability that basically multiplies your gold gain. So uh, the CM ban out from LGD, so pretty similar bans. Another support pick to kind of just deny that just denies early game aggression. So they want to kind of make it so that it's more of a concern for Infamous surviving in the early game. Next ban out is probably going to be something like Lich wasn't really relevant because they didn't really make it out of the early game. So Infamous are going to try and ban out some early to mid game picks, like the Pango. Yep. Okay, so that's the first part of LGD's last game one comp that they're banning out. We'll see how LGD react to that, or if they even react to it at all. Maybe they're just going to stick with the same game plan. I believe the last time they banned was either Lifestealer or might have been Lone Druid. I'm not too sure. We'll have to check the tapes for that one, but it was maybe it was Lone Druid. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, hopefully, looks like, yep, the Bounty Hunter ban comes out to deny the first pick from Infamous Gaming, who are pretty much looking to remove, yep, it does look like they are looking to remove most of the components of that, of LGD's Game 1 comp. The Bounty Hunter is denied, though, by LGD, so we'll see what the first pick comes out to be. In all likelihood, the Leshrac was the priority last time, along with the, what was it, the support, the Oracle. But we're probably going to see the position, I'd say the position 4 pick. I think they want to have like a good early game presence, so they're going to want a good roamer. Yeah, you really want to deliberate on this pick. This is going to be really important. It's going to dictate kind of what the draft is going to how it's going to shape out early on. And the Bane pick comes out. The Bane pick pretty much just because the Lifestealer pick could come out from LGD since it wasn't banned. I believe it was, yeah, the Lifestealer pick that was banned in the first wave, but denying that out. Good choice. Basically making it a lot harder for LGD to commit to a Lifestealer comp, which is really what you have to do if you pick Lifestealer. Like the whole draft changes compared to like if you pick
Five
Lifestealer or if you
seconds
don't pick
remaining.
Lifestealer. Because it's like when you're playing against Jug, you gotta have some way to like bypass
Radiant
magic
team's turn to
immunity
pick.
or like a really good CC for after the magic immunity. But the Disruptor pick coming out again from LGD looks like they are still gonna take an aggressive stance in the safe lane.
Dire team's
It's
turn
still
to pick.
possible something like like an Ursa. That's possible. So a good possibility that Ame is going to go for that Ursa pick. It's a really aggressive early game pick. Basically, just a statement from LGD that they're going to kind of run a similar strategy in their safe lane again. So hopefully Infamous are going to react well to this. We're probably going to see a offlane pick here
10
since
seconds
they
remaining.
just picked out both
Dire
elements of
team's
their
turn to
safe lane.
ban.
The mid lane pick actually it's a Viper. Okay, so the Viper pick basically to make things a little harder for LGD. The Viper could go off lane and match the safe lane, which all in all is not that bad as long as he doesn't get hit by kinetic field. But it is Xnova, and Xnova did also get a really good gold lead from
10
LGD
seconds
early on,
remaining.
so we'll see how things go. Next ban's
5
coming out
seconds
though.
remaining.
Oh yeah, another toxin removes Fury Swipes or prevents Fury Swipes from
Radiant
stacking
team's
up.
turn to ban.
The Bane pick is probably going to match the Ursa though. Reduces attack speed. The Razor ban out from Infamous. Yeah, the Razor is a reasonable pick against Viper. I've also seen what else was good against Viper? Monkey King was picked against Viper one time. Lina is a good pick against Viper. Looks like LGD are probably going to
10
ban out an
seconds
offlane
remaining.
hero here because they kind of want to prevent the offlane from getting or their
5
safe lane
seconds remaining.
from getting any worse here. But they can also swap out and do the role swap or the
Dire
lane
team
swap. So
ban.
we'll see how things go. A safe lane ban out for Troll. Looks like they're kind of concerned with Infamous Gaming's safe lane being a little too strong. And maybe they're keeping up a ruse that they want the Ursa in the safe lane. I'd say it's probably like an 80% chance it's in safe lane, but a 20% chance it might be off lane. With the Bane pick, they kind of just want to keep the Ursa away from Bane.
10
So
seconds remaining.
we'll see how LGD flesh this out. Obviously, they've been a little creative with
5 seconds
their
remaining.
execution. So it'll be exciting to watch. Infamous using up
Radiant
their
team
reserve
ban.
time, deciding instead on the Earth Spirit ban, which was one of the first bans in the last game. So again, with that early game pressure kind of being denied out by Infamous Gaming, more so by them now than LGD, since LGD was making those early game bans. But looks like Infamous are a little more concerned about the position 4 pick, especially since Earth
10
Spirit works
seconds
so well in
remaining.
conjunction with Ursa gang, or with Ursa, on those rolling boulder ganks.
5 seconds remaining.
Probably one of the better gankers at level 2 or level 1 and 2. But the Nightmare is pretty good
Radiant
denial as
team's
well.
turn to pick.
The Luna ban, so 2 carry bans out from LGD. They're really concerned with that like mid to late game scenario where they have something that pretty much doesn't have too much trouble in the early game, but once he hits the mid game, that's when like a big like a significant power spike hits. So, I'd expect maybe the last ban to be a jug ban or opting instead to go for the mid lane
10
ban.
seconds remaining.
Mm, the mid lane
Dire
ban
team's
being if
turn
they
to pick.
think that Viper is off lane. The Rubik pick out for FY, a good offlane pick, combos well with Ursa as well. Um, Basically leaving that possibility open of Ursa being offlane, kind of just putting Infamous in an awkward position. Like, do we want to play out our draft like we're anticipating the Ursa to be safe lane, or do we want to like leave
10
that
seconds
possibility
remaining.
open? So it looks like Infamous kind of have to make a commitment here
5
with this
seconds
pick,
remaining.
but they should be able to figure out where the Ursa is being placed on the next pick. Unless LGD decide to pick their mid laner, in which case the mystery continues.
Radiant
Yeah,
team's turn to
Infamous
pick.
using their reserve time to draft that Dark Willow. Okay, so another early game kind of aggressive pick. Not really seeing too much of Dark Willow picked recently. I know it combos well with the new hero Mars, but all in all, not very used often, I think, and it's kind of detrimental to Infamous for picking a good like a Rubik compatible ulti,
10 seconds remaining.
But I mean, Terrorize is actually really long range, so in many
5
cases, it's
seconds
very
remaining.
rare that you see Rubik steal Terrorizes. But I think FY is going to be FY is not the best Rubik. Yabsor is the best Rubik. But FY is probably one of the best position 4 players in the game, so obviously he's going to have a good Rubik. But what we're going to see is probably FY stealing a lot of, I'm thinking Viper spells, but not much of the backline spells unless he gets up and close with them. Like, you're not going to see him stealing Nightmare Brain Sap unless he's like fighting them one on one. I think most of the spells during team fights are going to be stolen or Viper Strike or Nether Toxin from Viper or the carry or off lane spells because it's going to be hard to get to those backliners who have, I believe, both cast range talents or just extended cast range in general for most of their, team fighting spells. LGD using a considerable amount of their reserve time here for their next pick. Kind of debating. I think they're gonna be debating whether or not they want to pick the safe lane or off lane, or if they want to pick the mid lane. It looks like they have decided to make things still more confusing. The plot thickens with the Pugna pick. Obviously, Pugna's probably going mid, but it is also LGD, and they also did pick Ursa. So, I don't know. It's not. Obviously, the Pugna is like a good denial out from
10
LGD
seconds
to prevent
remaining.
it from being picked by Infamous, who might have liked it, I guess.
5
I mean,
seconds
if they
remaining.
went Viper off, okay, so yeah, they're denying the possibility of a Viper off lane here and kind of forcing Infamous to show whether or not the Viper is mid or off lane. Okay, I see. Yeah, and while at the same time they're kind of leaving that possibility of the Ursa off lane or safe lane open. Yeah, so things are really tricky here for Infamous. They
Radiant
kind of
team's
have to
turn to
make a
ban.
commitment here. Yeah, so the tables have turned. Infamous have revealed that Lycan is going to be their safe lane. So we're kind of still back where we started. Both teams still making it very confusing to track this draft, but all in all, it looks like if we're
Dire
going by
team ban.
numbers here, yep, the offlane pick is to be or the offlane ban is to be expected. They're looking for like the best offlane pick to deny because they have to assume, in most cases that Viper is going mid. As does Infamous, who has to assume that the Pugna is probably going mid and the Ursa is probably going safe lane. Hopefully, I don't want to be wrong about this. It'd be funny after like all this like
10 seconds remaining.
reasoning and thinking, and they're just being straightforward. Like, you want to pick Ursa?
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah. If that was the decision making behind it, I'd be so sad and so surprised. Infamous using up the reserve time though, a little more hesitant to decide on the spinal bend than LGD are. So LGD, I think, looking a little more confident in what they're gonna pick next. Yeah, I think LGD kind of like exude that confidence. They're just letting you know, hey, we're on to you. The quick ban out was like a psychological warfare kind of thing. Like, we know it's going mid. You don't have to try and hide it from us. So putting a little bit more pressure on Infamous Gaming. Based on the performance of, or based on what their team is looking out to be, it looks like they're not really going to be getting into many big engagements. Like the Lycan's always going to be there to kind of chase backline and kind of harass them. But he's mostly there to split push. And the Dark Willow and Bane are kind of there to provide that early game aggression. So you kind of need an offlaner that works well off of that, but is also like a good substantial, threat in the mid game, which is hard to find. I mean, you could go for something like Tide. Tide might be a nice choice. I don't know if it prevents kinetic field, but
Dire team's
Pango would
turn
have
to
been a
ban.
nice choice. The ban out finally comes from Infamous. It is the Life Stealer ban. So, so now, now, okay, Infamous basically have said we don't know, but you're sure as hell not picking Lifestealer in this comp. That's too gross. And LGD have pretty much finished. They know what they're gonna go with. They already
10 seconds
PSG
remaining.
LGD already have like this whole like flow chart of just picks and bans already
5
out.
seconds remaining.
It's not on paper. It's in their heads because they're smart like that. So well, we'll see. We'll see. But I mean,
Radiant
based on
team's
like
turn
how
to
things are
pick.
going here, I don't want to make like a bold assumption, but I feel like LGD are a lot more comfortable with their draft here than Infamous are. Bat Rider pick comes out, so that's definitely off lane. So it is a Viper mid. LGD making that confident call and being correct about it. So the Bat Rider pick obviously going to be a little more threatening against the Disruptor, but you know
10
it does look
seconds
like Infamous
remaining.
have opted for a better level 1 offlane. A very much better
5
level 1
seconds
offlane.
remaining.
Like, what are you doing with that Leshrac and what was it called? Who was it? It was Leshrac and Oracle, right? No, no, it was who is it together with the Leshrac? I can't remember. Oh yeah, it was the Tiny together with Leshrac. Like that was a yeah, that was not a good level 1, guys. Like since Moose went for that went for that level 1 play, um on for that level 1 play on in last game, sorry, in last game. They kind of lost that early game pressure since he had to
Choose
TP.
your hero.
LGD, okay. Yep, I was wrong. Ursa's going offlane. It's Chalice picking in, and Ame's instead opting for the Phantom Lancer since he's pretty much realized the only threat is if he gets found out amongst the illusions, which is hard to do unless it's Nether Toxin. It's a lot of DOT to be picking a Phantom Lancer into. Mm. Oh, FY. Nice looking Rubik there, buddy. But yeah. Hopefully we'll see how things pan out in this game. I'm expecting LGD to be pretty dominant in this game as well since they picked an Ursa and a Pugna. Um, and Infamous kind of have Infamous kind of have a similar comp where they can
10 seconds
and
remaining.
what was it?
5
Infamous or
seconds remaining.
why isn't he locking in Bane? Come on, just do it. We know you're doing it. There you go. Wu picks up the Bane. I guess they're okay, yeah. Infamous are using as much time as they can to kind of get as much direction and communication out as they can as to what the hell is happening with their comp because it is looking pretty weird here. LGD are probably one of the better teams at making things a little more confusing at the draft from what it looks like. Um, but yeah, lane assignments, you can see Ame is going to go together with Xnova, FI is going to go together with Chalice, XM mid versus Tomatoes Viper, which is going to be really weird. I've not seen this matchup before, but XM is probably going to have the advantage, being able to push out earlier with his Nether Blast, and Tomatoes Nether Toxin really needing some levels to kind of get up there and ramp up in damage. So level 1 Nether Toxin isn't going to be as potent as level 1 Nether whatever it's called, Nether Blast, his Q. Um, but as we get into game 2 here, we'll see how things pan out in this game. PSGLGD versus Infamous Gaming. Let's get right into it. That level 10 Rubik from FY. But let's take a look at the lane assignments here. See Ame, yep, Ame is looking to just go straight
Prepare
down to
for
the safe
battle.
lane. FY together with Xnova and Chalice. Chalice moving towards the bottom side of the jungle? Huh. Interesting. Why would you do that? Looks like all of LGD are kind of around that bottom jungle looking for an aggressive play. But before things get a little hairy here, let's talk about the game plans from both teams. So, Infamous smoking out and trying to get vision in the mid lane actually. And they are also smoked on the bottom side trying to move in there. They did get the manage to spot the ward. Tomato pops the ward. Pepita spots him though, so both teams have the mid lane ward. Before things like I said, before things get out of hand, let's talk about the game plan here. I think LGD have drafted a wonderful comp that relies on them being aggressive early in the game.
30
I think
seconds to
Infamous have
battle.
drafted a similar comp that still has split pushing elements, but it doesn't take off as fast as LGD's comp does with the Ursa and the Pugna, being the opposing elements to the Lycan and the Viper. Hmm. The problem with that is Infamous are going to be looking to just slow down LGD as much as possible. Slow down that Ursa, slow down that mid lane
This ain't no
Pugna, trying to make
snowball
sure they
fight.
keep equal in net worth as much as they can. Pepita actually zoning X Nova off of that rune. Ame not getting the other rune, decides to use Juxtapose to try and escape, but he does also have 2 stacks of sticky napalm on him. Yeah, the Thunder Strike out though from Nyx Nova, putting pressure on the Moose, who's very low as well. But other than that, advantage to Infamous Gaming for those bounty runes. Good execution on that, a little better than last time. Ame though, looking to jump into the side shop, grabs that magic stick instantly, and let's get into it. Matchups, yeah, we're going to be looking at a very aggressive offlane from LGD, as he starts to run up on a Mason immediately with those Fury swipes, getting as much stacks and early game aggression as he can. Mason, though, has opted for getting Wolves level 1 to try and increase his last hitting and early game pressure. So FY trying to target out those Wolves, get the last hits, but those Wolves are pretty tanky, and we'll get a good amount of regen later in the game. So I say later in the game, but like probably like 2 or 3 minutes later from here. But looks like there are a lot more balanced lanes here from opposing teams. Xnova getting pressured here a lot. Actually, the Thorn Maze coming out onto him. He only has 2 stacks. Oh, 2 stacks of Napalm on him. Is he going to go down here? Xnova going to die to one more auto? Possibly not enough. Okay, cool. That was close. Infamous really close to getting the advantage they needed in that early game here. They really need to just make a statement that LGD aren't going to roll over them this time. LGD, though, getting that pull from the creep camp onto the offlane wave. Meanwhile, all other things looking... Oh, actually, the Bramble Maze out on Ami, who actually immediately has to channel TP back to his tower. Xnova also getting hit by the sticky napalm. Firefly is out, but nothing really comes out of it. So the cooldowns and the mana is expended with no real advantage other than HP. But
Oh, did you want to
Xnova
deny?
is already at low HP. That's a really nice pull from Xnova, making sure that the minion wave kind of just doesn't... Make sure that it... Basically guaranteeing that it hits tower, and that it kind of resets in its own way. Make it a little easier for Ame to last hit, albeit he is a Phantom Lancer who does have trouble lasting on tower. But Peter, you missed that. I saw that, buddy. But yeah, LGD's safe lane is probably going to experience the most pressure from Infamous, considering the Vaprider pick. But we can't miss this safe lane from Infamous. We have to make sure that Infamous need to make sure that Mason comes out the gate ready to push down towers, because Pugna is going to start pushing down towers way earlier than Lycan is. And it's going to be really weird. Tomato actually is already level 4, so he has that Nether Toxin up to level 2. He is ready to use that to farm camps, which is really, really stupid. Okay, the mark's drawn out from... Who is that? I don't know who's drawing those, but spots out basically just explaining to LGD's team that those are the camps he's going to be farming out. I actually don't know what the source of that was, but hopefully that was a player. Overall, yeah, lane's not looking too much different from last game, other than Infamous looking to be a lot more stable now in their lanes. Though that offlane is still a threat. Oh man, yeah. Things are gonna get real hairy once they start to get up to level 6. We're really gonna start to see things accelerate in the off lanes for both teams once they get to their respective ultimates. But until then, we can kind of enjoy a relaxing show and talk about the game in general. Looking at things now, XM looks to be working pretty well with his team, although there was a little bit of that communication mix-up earlier on. But all in all, still LGD still looking really dominant. Able, obviously, with that huge goal lead from last game, they are definitely looking a lot better than Infamous, but not as great as they would with Somnus. I would have expected a lot more interaction with the mid lane than before, but it didn't look like LGD were going for a lot of roams mid. They kind of just let XM leave into the jungle and do his business, which I guess is still a great strategy, but it's not. The meta right now doesn't really support that playstyle that LGD have had before. The Decrypify going out from Tomato to deny him from blocking the wave from reaching tower, so that it's harder for him to get those last hits. But all in all, yeah, the meta wasn't really in Somnus's favor, where he could be that aggressive mid lane since everyone was picking Viper mid and kind of just going into the jungle and getting their gold. So I mean, we'll see how things flesh out, but it's obvious that Somnus needed a break. Out the telekinesis coming on to Wu doesn't manage to put him up on the cliff though, but the pressure from Tomato pushing FY away from Chalice, who does pop a mango, tries to get the bounty rune, but both of them grabbed by Infamous here. Ame managing to get one bounty rune, but it's denied by Pepita. Chalice kills Wu. Pretty easy kill overall, managing to pressure him, but he does manage to get the bounty rune, so all in all, pretty even trade, but he does get first blood, so there is a difference in that. Looking now at what we see here, pretty expected that the mid laners are going to have the most farm, since they're both really good farming heroes. Going to be some action here in the bottom lane, though. as Pepita and
As Radiant
Moose are kind
fortified
of
their
pinging things
structures.
out.
Dire
On
Guardians
LGD
have their
side, we're
structures.
looking for the FY roam towards mid as XM does have his life drain up now, available in 5 seconds, but Tomato's opted not to get Viper Strike, instead choosing to just try and cover as many waves as he can, trying to get a better position, but FY is not... Okay, yeah, FY's decided to pull the trigger now. The Fade Ball together with the life drain, the Decrepify coming out at him, telekinesis to keep him in range. Doesn't have enough damage though, as the Bramble Maze and the Cursed Crown push XM away from Tomato, who, I mean, with the rest of those tangos should be fine. FY looking to maintain the pressure though. Things are gonna get a little hairy for you here. He does have max corrosive skin. Oh no, he's level 3 corrosive skin. Oh god, he has at the shrine, so Tomato should be fine. FY in a little bit of a trouble though, getting a lot of health down. He's actually at 200 HP, so Nightmare plus Brain Sap should do the job. Does get the Crepified up, the Nether Blast, but it does secure the kill. Bramble Mace and Cursed Mount and an XM to try and prevent him from doing any more damage, but he does pick up the kill on Wu. Moo's hopefully gonna get out of there. Oh, he does have a haste rune, so if XM has enough mana, he can follow up on the Moose, but he doesn't want to go through Tomato until he uses his salve in his bottle and is back up to full health. Doesn't have the mana to stay in lane though, so won't push his advantage any further past letting him know that that wave is his. Meanwhile, bottom, Pepita kind of just maneuvering around the safe lane and
Something
getting as
better
much
have
farm as
Dire's
he
middle
needs.
tower.
While Ame obviously in a disadvantage, added disadvantage being the PL. Life Drain coming up from XM to assert dominance on Tomato. Hey buddy, you can't stop it. What are you gonna do? You gonna buy an Atos? Yep, you're gonna buy an Atos. That's not gonna stop it. Oh, we gotta hope that. See, I like this Pugna pick a lot because it basically forces Infamous to react to this specific hero, and that makes it so that the mid lane gets so much more attention while they still have that aggressive off lane, you know? It basically, okay, the telekinesis out with the Nether Blast and the Decrepify onto Wu, kill him almost instantly. The Cursed Crown onto XM, but Xnova is there to TP to make sure they both stay out alive. Decrepify out on the Moose though, who takes more than half his HP in damage, does go into the Shadow Realm though. The Flame Break and the Viper Strike on XM, pushing him back in, and he should die. But Moose getting pressure as well. Looks like he should be able to survive as he places the Cursed Crown and the Flaming Lasso on FY. So Infamous, with the advantage actually in that trade there, pretty much evening the score out. Looking towards like the net worth. LGD though, yeah, they're getting that farm while all that party stuff is going on mid. Basically, Mason has access to the jungle. Tomato does not. So not really the same Viper strat that a lot of people have seen in the last patch, where Viper just kind of sticks in the jungle. LGD are kind of forcing Viper out of the jungle here, while the PL and the Ursa both maintain lane pressure and still get farm. You know, it's a really good play overall. Chalice getting a lot of damage on the tower, but Wu and Moose here to intercept as well as Mason, so they might get the kill, but he does also have Enrage, so he should also be able to escape. Yep, purges it off immediately. The Bramble Mace, though, to catch him, and he gets rooted twice on that. Mason does channel his Shapeshift, chasing with the rest of the wolves, but FY is there with the Telekinesis and the Fade Bolt to reduce as much right-click damage as possible from those creeps, and guaranteeing Chalice's safely. Pepita cutting the wave as per usual. Shrine goes out from LGD, and it should also be a good time for Infamous to reset, but XM is there to grab the last on the tower. That is so sad, Moose. I am so sorry that had to happen to you. getting cucked out of a deny. Invisible Firefly out from Pepita, who probably shouldn't have popped that rune, because now he can't pull the creep wave away from the tower. Hopefully he kills that in good enough time. But the pause out from Infamous. Looks like Pepita was having some... actually, who paused that game? Yep, Infamous. Moose pausing the game. Looks like they were having some issues, but they should be all set now. Pepita with the Invis rune, like I said. Really cool interaction. We're not pulling the wave anymore. Let's take a look at things though. Yep, obviously LGD a little bit more advantageous in the net worth, where Ame has pretty much had free farm, has received pressure. You know, I do have to credit Infamous for putting pressure on Ame, but you're not really putting pressure so much as you are just denying him his own creep waves. You know. Viper looks to be in a little bit of trouble though. Oh yeah, Mason picked off in the jungle by Xnova and FY. they're at the point now where Glimpse and Telekinesis are more than enough to catch a Lycan who doesn't have Shapeshift. So we're going to be seeing a lot more. Yep, things are going to ramp out more from LGD. Chalice chasing him with the Earthshot, getting as many hits on moves as he can before the Curse Crown activates, but instead opts to kill the Satyr that Lycan is now controlling. Okay, so yeah, we need to start. So PSG, LGD have definitely ramped up their strategy now, looking to put more aggression out onto their respective lanes and trying to get those towers down. Whereas Infamous have kind of not started to pull the trigger yet. Like I mentioned earlier in the draft, it's going to be harder for them to get anything out before LGD have their power spikes. So, excuse me. But yeah, like, it's just going to be a lot harder, and Infamous are going to have the power spike a little later. So they're going to have to hold tight here until they can find an advantageous situation. But overall, we'll take a look at what things are happening here. Chalice really close to his blink, so should be able to fight pretty soon. Ame should be about at his... You should have a Blade of Alacrity here, right? On the courier? Oh, action here. Tomato taking out FY in the jungle. Overstaying his welcome a little too long with the help of Moose and Wu. Meanwhile, though, LGD maintaining pressure on the mid and bottom lanes. Pepita is there to make sure that the lane is covered to an extent, but LGD have shown pretty much all their carries, their top 3 positions here in the bottom lane, so Infamous kind of have to react to this by either respecting it and going for the opposite lane play, or in what they're choosing to do now is smoke up out of LGD's vision and try to position for a fight here. Does have Shapeshift up, doesn't have a minion though for his Helm of the Dominator. Pepita does have Last out, Fiend's Grip is out, the ward placed by Moose doesn't get spotted out from LGD, so he should be fine here. They do place the ward though because they might know that someone is here. Yeah, yeah. Chalice has his blink now, so he's ready to fight. And Infamous are really hesitant to pull the trigger. You have to decide at what point your power spike is ready, and you have to like pull the trigger soon. Not looking too good. Meanwhile, Ame rotates top, does have his TP on cooldown, so it's possible that Infamous do have the advantage here in making a move on the tower early, but Pepita doesn't have drums, no, Pepita has drums, so he should have a good amount of movement speed to try and get the lasso off, but it's not going to be as instant as a blink from the Ursa. Yeah. Okay, yeah, LGD spotted out that there was going to be aggression in the bottom lane, and have instead transitioned to top and mid, kind of just dancing around Infamous, playing around their own power spikes, trying to get the more advantageous situation for them. Infamous, yeah, like I said earlier, Infamous have a similar comp, but they execute it at a later power spike. So LGD are really just trying to tiptoe around Infamous and choosing their fights very carefully here because the balance could tip very fast. Atos out on the FY though. Chalice blinks in, gets the break out onto Tomato, but has to enrage immediately and run backwards as the Flaming Lasso does go onto him and Chalice does go down. He should go down. Ursha coming out, but the Flame Break is there. Static Field comes out on the Pepita, who gets glimpsed back into it with a Static Storm with a Kinetic Field. Thunderstrike getting him low as the Decrypt Fly slows him down enough for the Nether Blast to finish him off. Moose tries to channel Terrorize, but it's too late to save his buddy. He's out of there, and LGD up on the advantage, 6-5 in kills with a 2k lead. Looking pretty good for them overall. Ame still on the leaderboard for the most net worth and hasn't even really been in any fights. I don't think he's gotten any assists. He's gotten one. That's good for him. Star player right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you play safe lane. Yeah, okay, so he's opted for Yasha first. He might go Sanjin Yasha instead of the Diffusal Blade because he's just looking to be more of a he's realizing that this Diffusal won't really save him from a lot of AoE and stuff that Infamous has. Xnova's invis here in mid lane, looking for a play on Tomato, but yeah, like I said, he realizes that the Diffusal isn't really advantageous to him since they're going to be team fighting, and Diffusal really more for just getting single target pickoffs. So he wants that HP and the similar damage that's provided to just kind of give him the chance to push out a lot of damage. Positioning from Xnova looks like he's going to get a good kinetic field onto Tomato, but he's kind of wary of the rest of Infamous who are in the tree line. You should be in the tree line helping him out, but the Glimpse comes back with the static field. The Terrorize does however miss onto Chalice, who does get Fiend's gripped up, but the Thunderstrike is going to be able to finish off Tomato. No, it doesn't! He actually manages to vamp enough from the Nether Toxin, as Chalice does die, unfortunately. The first fight that Ame participates in, and it is disadvantaged to LGD. Still a 2K gold lead, but that is your Ursa dead for about 25 seconds. So yeah. Mm, I mean, it's not too bad. Obviously, a mistake is, something you can afford to make sometime around this time in the game, around the mid game. But you know, the next mistake is gonna be a lot more influential to the flow of this game. Because if LGD get the next pick, then they're gonna take another tower. And possibly top racks if they position well correctly. But the smoke coming out, they spot it out immediately. Wu does manage to get the Nightmare off on the Chalice as he does get Atos up and another Toxin. So they do spot out that moment of aggression. The Bramble Maze rooting down X-Nova though. Looks like he's gonna get the Curse Crown on him as well as the Poison Touch. The Static Storm to zone them out, but the Shadow Realm from Moose is gonna finish him off. Mason does, however, channel Shapeshift, so he does have his ulti up for the next 10 seconds or so. Urshak, oh, the stolen Fiend's Grip out on the Tomato as Chalice is back into the fight, but it manages to enrage and get out alive. Tomato does not survive this time, however, as LGD managed to get the better of this fight, it looks like. Ame pushing forward onto Moose, who does also get the Crepify, managed to pop his wand, and also use the, I don't know what it's called, but the Earthshock out from Chalice, and he dies instantly as he blinks in. No! Woo's really low too, but he's decrepify to the, oh, but he does die eventually to the DOT as well as Chalice. That was CM, or XM, sorry. It was XM who died there, my apologies. Looks like LGD were looking to press their advantage, but the Firefly together in combination with Dark Willow's Bedlam and Bramble Maze were too much for LGD to advance on. Chala's really not expecting to die so fast there, buddy. You're probably going to need that BKB a lot faster than you think, yeah. I think Chalice was a little too overzealous. Should have taken a similar approach to Ame and gotten more of a tankier item to kind of let him initiate more instead of having to rely on Enrage, especially against a comp who has a lot of CC, like enough CC to lock you down for the entire duration of Enrage. So it's unfortunate, but that's the path he's chosen. Overall, looking a lot better for Infamous though. They actually do have the kill advantage at this point in the game. They're really only losing out on towers and farm. A lot of their carries pretty much picking up back in net worth. Chalice is really far behind now. You're 1,000 gold behind as an Ursa. Oh man, that's what you get for going blink first though, instead of the regular Morbid Mass. Telekinesis out on his Tomato though, as well as the Static Storm. He stole Lasso and pulls him back into the Static Storm, and Tomato goes down almost instantly. Advantage to PSGLGD as they do have the next 2K gold. They glimpse back out onto Wu, who does manage to Nightmare himself to prevent some damage, but is eventually going to go down as a glimpse puts him in the middle of 5 members of LGD. Yeah, LGD really just the more patient team, being more decisive about when they're going to pull the trigger, and that does reward them sometimes, but it does also put them at a disadvantage when they have to deal with the response or the counter aggression from Infamous. Chalice really learning nothing from his last stint, his last fight. You need that. You definitely need that Morbid Mass, buddy. But yeah, the life drain from XM gonna put him at a healthy life total as they've managed to pick up the Aegis. Do put it on Ame, so it looks like they want Ame to be the front runner for this next fight. He has opted for the Diffusal Blade first instead of finishing the Sanjin Yasha. So, I mean, I guess the Yasha's, it's probably just because of the movement speed actually, just to give him more versatility in like farming and rotating around on the map. Yeah, that's probably the decision behind it. With most of the carries actually, I haven't really noticed that trend actually. Yeah, that's probably what they're doing. Maybe that might transfer over into like regular pubs, but who knows? It's probably just a move by, people who are super like who want to be super precise about numbers and efficiency. But let's take a look. Looks like Infamous doing a lot as they are doing a lot better, but they're still behind on net worth, so they're gonna have to start pushing down some more towers and getting some more advantages. But with the Aegis, it does kind of slow down the game, gives Chalice enough time to catch back up onto that gold lead. He does have his Morbid Mask on the courier, I believe, together with a third of his BKB, I believe. Do you not have the Morbid Mask? You didn't go Morbid Mask? Oh, Chalice. When will you learn? Oh well. I would have preferred a Morbid Mask, but I guess he's prioritizing getting his BKB as fast as possible. With a 900 gold and the fact that he can't farm really fast right now is a huge detriment to him. I think he was kind of depending upon that early game aggression from his team to kind of just make sure that he gets that early game gold.
Dire's bottom tower
LGD
needs
and
help.
Infamous pretty much just trading
Looks
rune
like Dire
positions.
fortified their structures.
Looks like Mark's
Radiant's
going
middle
out to
tower
position
shouldn't
around the
have to take
bottom
this
lane, but
abuse.
Infamous aren't there ready
Dire's
to
bottom
respond
tower
yet.
is under attack.
As
Dire's
LGD
bottom
pick up the
tower
first tier
always
1
takes a
tower
short
on
hit.
bottom, and Infamous are a little slow to react with Mason pushing into the top tower for Infamous. Yeah,
Dire's bottom
Chalice is
tower is
here,
being
ready
chipped
to make the
away.
pick off on Pepita,
Radiant's middle
who is
tower is
unknowingly in a
under
very
attack.
precarious position. Does
Dire
also
has
still have his
fortified their
blink, so Chalice
structures.
is going to have to get off the instant hit.
Dire's
Firefly is
bottom
being
tower
channeled though from
needs some
Pepita.
help.
The Oh no, the illusions are denying his blink. Together with the diffusal blade puts him down, glimpse back towards the rest of his team, but the static storm not connecting together with kinetic field. Blink in from Chalice, who does manage to channel in range, but isn't tanky enough to survive the rest of the damage, as Wu also gets really close to dying. Oh, manages to die to Ame's illusions, but Ame is in a precarious position now as he is decrepify to prevent any further damage from Mason and the rest of his creeps. Oh, Kinetic Field managing to slow down the rest of Infamous's advance. The glimpse back from Tomato as the Rod of Atos. Oh my god, the Rod of Atos locks down Ame, but the burst out from XM annihilates annihilates Moose. He's off the map. Where'd he go? Oh man, that is so sad playing against the Pugna as a position 4 or 5. You know, eventually one of those times you fight, you're gonna be in the wrong spot at the wrong time, and he's gonna zap you. It happens. It happens. Woo, pinging out a smoke at the sea. It looks like they're trying to make another
Dire's
play out
middle
here before
tower
they
isn't
lose
going to
their
last long.
advantage. Well, lose the momentum that they had prior to that fight. Now a 5k lead by PSGLGD, who are starting to run away
Something
with the
better hit
game a little
Dire's middle
bit.
tower.
XM really starting to reach
Radiant
a good
structures are
point in his
fortified.
build with that Dagon. Does have it on only level 1. Blink comes out from Pepita, who does channel Firefly, but doesn't manage to get anything other than scaring the rest of PSGLGD. FY, what do you have stolen right now? You don't have anything stolen, so we'll keep an eye on that. Static Storm is about to come up for X Nova. Chalice almost towards the rest of his BKB, just needs about 1,000 gold more, and he should be at it. Oh, Ame, dude, he is accelerating well and far past anyone else in this game. At a 3k gold lead on Mason, there's a Lycan. This man is on the map 24/7, grabbing as much farm as he can. Mason opting for the Necronomicon level 3 together with the Helm of the Dominator. Basically, the team fighting build that also enables you to split push pretty well is a very favorable thing. The Flame Lash are actually coming out from Pepita onto Chalice, who doesn't have anything but Enrage, and no one else on his team to follow up until he gets close enough. Static Storm actually falling out on a Tomato, who gets locked down by the rest of PSG LGD, as Chalice does manage to go down. Do PSG LGD want to continue this fight and get the Diffusal Blade out on the Wu, who dies almost instantly? The Zap from XM, almost annihilating moves instantly. The Shadow Realm comes off, but the Nether Blast misses him barely. Mason, together with the Thunderstrike, does manage to use Shapeshift to get out with the rest of his creeps. At what cost, though? That Oh, that wolf, that poor wolf. Oh no, the catapult. Don't do it. He's gonna die. Let him live. Oh
Dire's middle
no, it's
tower is under
disaster.
attack.
A disaster for everyone on Infamous.
Dire's middle tower just went down.
A 7k lead now. Not as bad as it could be, but definitely a very, very bad fight. Infamous were pretty much caught almost completely off guard. It happens sometimes, it happens, but we need to see a good response out from Infamous now to get a good pick now that the Aegis has expired off of Ame, so they can now focus in better in fights. But it was a good 5 minutes, a solid 5 minutes for Ame to get almost 4k ahead in gold on Infamous's carry. He has a Sanjin Yasha, he has a Diffusal Blade, and now he's gonna go get his heart, butterfly, and finish up the rest of the game. Once Ame has heart, I doubt that he'll die in a majority of these fights against Infamous, unless Mason decides to pick it up in damage. Yeah, like once PL gets enough, he's in a Manta though, so he can't. If they do manage to lock him down with the Bane Enfeeble and the Lasso, they should be able to focus him down with the Viper and Mason's minions. Hopefully. A deity actually right out in front of Roche Pit. No one has spotted it yet, except for potentially Chalice, who's about to blink onto it, hopefully. But the rest of... Oh, Infamous are in. Flame Lasso out onto F... Is that FY? Yeah, that's FY. He gets locked down almost immediately. The Atos out onto X-Nova, who does also get zoned up by Mason, who channels Shapeshift and almost all 3 shots. X-Nova, oh my god. Pressure outgoing from Wu, who sleeps himself to avoid the damage from Ame, who
Radiant's middle
isn't
tower
able
has
to
fallen.
capitalize on the opening well enough to get a pick. So advantage to Infamous here. A good turnaround, but only a 1k difference gold lead now, so not really much of an advantage here. But they do manage to get the momentum back, so they are able to pressure things out. You should ping out that double damage rune. Yes, yes, there's the ping, there's the ping. They found it, they managed to lock it down. Moose does try to deny it. Chalice channels Enraged in order to kill the Necronomicon minions, now liking as much of his army as he can, so that it isn't as potent later in the fight. What? XM gets the kill onto Wu? Where was he? Oh, Wu in a bit of a bad position trying to grab the bounty rune, but instead pays for it with his life. Chalice now has his BKB, so he's going to be a much more stronger force in these fights. We're looking at power spikes for Infamous. Let's see. Viper together with those Guardian Greaves to basically keep his team alive a little longer, as well as being a better frontliner, enabling him to escape that. He can't escape Kinetic Field, and you can only really escape Diffusal and Decrepify with that, so we'll see. The Yule's out from Moose to deny any advances from enemy laners. I'm very anxious to see what Mason is going to build after this. I'm not really seeing much of the build, kind of get past this point. Usually it's going to be like a kind of an, oh, blink out on the Pepita, who gets stunned up almost instantly. The Terrorize to try and deny it, but Chalice has his BKB, so he's going to be able to pick up that kill pretty easily. Not very good as the initiator for Infamous out of the game, so now Chalice and Ame are pretty much just going to track down Moose, who does manage to channel Shadow Realm and TP away, so he won't be killed off of that. But Infamous now at a bigger disadvantage that they were before. And it's a combination of LGD being a lot more efficient at farming, the Diffusal Blade out on a Tomato, who doesn't use his Guardian Greaves to deny the slow, but gets glimpsed back as well. Managed to use the Guardian Greaves at that point, tanky enough to resist most of the damage from Ame, who's focusing more on being tanky at this point than he is putting out damage. A wiser choice, since the rest of his team's carries are going to be able to pick up on those damage charts, but yeah, essentially, Infamous not really putting up much of a fight here, since they've kind of advanced past what? Mason? Why did you use your BKB? That was a good choice, by the way, getting the BKB, but why did you use it just then? Were you about to die? What happened? What happened, buddy? Oh no. It just gets worse. The longest cooldown BKB he could have had, and it's gone. Oh man. Things are getting weird. But yeah, like the Lycan, I can see where the Lycan pick went, but the Pugna pick pretty much almost denies it completely, because you don't have anything to bypass that Decrepify, especially if you just, if you're just trying to chase backline people. Chalice out with the blink, out on Tomato, puts his BKB out. XM almost instantly bursts down Wu. Tomato is going to go down as well. Terrorize not going to have any effect on Chalice, who still has his BKB up. Moose looking to get away with ability to use Scepter. Xnova trying to find him for the glimpse, but it's not going to be really enough of a or really not worth it to chase that support. Instead are looking to position around the Rex of mid lane. Mason really just looking to get back in this game as much as he can by farming and getting as much gold. Pepita looking also to do the same, put pressure on the side lane so that they can avoid pushing mid out any further, and LGD responding to that by trying to blink onto Pepita for FY, but FY manages to miss the telekinesis just by a little bit. Xnova also not in vision range to get that glimpse back out. Meanwhile, the rest of the PSGLGD are looking to get Roche, and by the rest of them, I mean Chalice and XM. Ame instead has opted to go for the farm, as he should for the rest of this game, and being the better player in terms of generating a bigger gold advantage. But I mean, Mason's putting up pretty good. He's maintaining the net worth gap as much as he can. Like he's reducing as much of. He's making it so the gap doesn't as widen as much as possible. He's really doing everything in his power that he can, but it's more so the fact that LGD kind of just have the better comp here, and they kind of like outdrafted Infamous. They kind of baited, I guess they kind of baited Infamous into picking a similar comp, but took the more, basically the better picks, the better picks for those like positions, like you need a frontliner, you get to pick Ursa, but you could also pick up, Bat Rider. The instant zap out with the Decrepify going out onto Wu, who is also dead again. I know it happens every once in a while, but at this point it's just kind of getting a little too much, XM pretty much will get that kill guaranteed every time, so you really just have to position a little better with that Bane, but it is very hard considering a lot of people on on LGD now have Blinks, XM included, as well as I believe FY and Chalice. Ame is just kind of looking to get to that butterfly. Yep, manages to buy that Eagle Song, not really looking for buyback since they're in such a dominant position. The gap widening ever so larger. Blink out from X-Chalice onto Pepita, who does manage to get Firefly off, but the glimpse is down on him, locks him down, misses the kinetic field with a Thunder Strike, and the Dagon are going to put him at very low health. He does manage to chase him down to Life Drain range. Wow, that's a lot. That's a long range, but they do manage to chase Pepita down since Firefly does remove terrain, essentially breaks down trees, so you can still chase a fire flying Bat Rider. FY meanwhile on a solo mission and maybe get some vision out. Oh no, really just looking to pressure the wave here. LGD are kind of pretty comfortable where they're at, and Infamous are really looking to make a better play. Mason, however, getting jumped on here. The TP being channeled out. Decrepify along with the life drain is enough to take him down before he channels his TP out. Not a good move. I would probably have shapeshifted immediately, as well as BKB'd. I probably would have also BKB'd at that point. Like, you should have denied the extra damage from Diffusal Blade, as well as, the possibility of anyone else being there with CC. Like the Glimpse or the Lift. Just not a good choice overall. Oh well. Woo, feeling the extent of, yep. Oh, he doesn't get to Crepify this time, so maybe he may escape. Woo, come on, I believe in you, buddy. Yes, he doesn't die. All right, that's one for the boys. But yeah, LGD looking really dominant at this point in the game, with a pretty similar lead as last game at that 20k mark. Looks pretty much over for Infamous, and it did happen in the span of like probably 10 minutes. XM on a killing spree here, just going around zapping everyone he sees. He does have the chi, so he can play relatively aggressively. The Atos out from Tomato onto a range minion to lock it down so he gets that gold. The Flame Lash, however, out on a Chalice who doesn't have anything else but the Aegis, so he does have that second life, but the lockdown is there. The execution is good. The Terrorize out onto FY, who is down immediately. Chalice is back up with his BKB, running onto Wu. Leave the poor man alone. He's had it rough. He's down immediately. Oh god, Tomato, the next that's about to fall. Doesn't manage to use his Guardian Grease, but to what effect, man? You're just gonna die. Chalice taking a lot of damage, though, from the rest of Mason's minions. Tomato and Chalice are both still alive. Tomato, however, yeah, going to go down. And Mason, actually, together with his army, should be able to take down Chalice and Xnova. The buyback coming out from XM, Wu, and Tomato. The glimpse out from Wu to put him, or the glimpse out from Xnova to try and put him back towards the rest of his base. But Xnova is actually alive, so we're good to go. Now, PL does not have Aegis. Ursa has the Aegis. And it was popped, and Chalice did die. So not really good looking there for LGD, as Ame is trying to press his advantage, feeling himself a little bit here. Oh, the Juxtapose puts him on the wrong side of the wall. The BKB being channeled by Pepita. He knows that he's there. The Phantom Rush is going to put him down. He tries to enfeeble the right one, but that's not the right one. The Atos out onto the right one, actually, so Ame has to push himself back, but XM gets the easy kill on the Wu again. Stop, please. He's had enough, as Ame just walking in circles around the rest of Team Infamous. Yeah, you didn't have enough to lock this PL down. It was a really good surprise pick from LGD, and I think now I realize a lot more that LGD, instead of really executing really well, they had a better plan out from the beginning. You could really tell from the decisions and how fast things were going through the draft and how slow things are going out from Infamous that LGD really had that advantage there. They really know what they were going to do, and in Infamous were kind of at a loss for what to do sometimes. So it's just a difference in experience, and I guess the difference between a TI finalist and someone who participates in the occasional super major. But hats off to Infamous for putting up a good fight for a good amount of time. It was very, very close. The balance could have been tipped very quickly, but fortunately for them, LGD were the better team in this situation, had more surprises in their draft, and overall just a better performance. So it's good to see LGD in good form still. Unfortunately without Somnus, but XM seems to be a still decent replacement. Overall, I would say LGD's kind of shifted away from helping out the mid lane too much, which is a really different strategy. I mean, it gives a lot more potential for Chalice and Ame to put a lot more work out. Ame has always kind of been in the spotlight as the carry, but Chalice has never really had too many opportunities to be a very influential position 3, something other than like an Enchantress for all 5 games of, I think it's 3 he played Enchantress for 4 or 5 games in TI finals, but it's whatever. A pretty good game overall, but yeah, like I said, the better team today was LGD. But let me know if you guys like this video. Be sure to leave any comments if you have any, and I appreciate any support you guys show me. Feel free to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.